Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Tonight we have for you a Link to the Past NMG League Season 2 match featuring Chexhuman and Spleebie. Tonight on comms we have Malmo and Haikyuu Type. I hope I said that right. And they will take it from here.
Yep, you did indeed say that right. So Malmo, why don't you tell us what we're going to be seeing?
We're going to be seeing Spleebie and Chex race in the NMG League. This is no major glitches for Link to the Past. It's the most commonly run category of the game. Spleebie is a 126 runner, and Chex is a 125 runner. But Chex has been working on a different category, and Spleebie has been working on this category, so that might even it out quite a bit.
Yeah, I've been seeing Spleebie practice this rather regularly. Chex, on the other hand, is going to be white-knuckling through the whole thing, trying not to do glitches that get him disqualified from this category. He's been playing No Logic Randomizer and the All Bosses No EG speedrun. So you excited to explain pumping for 10 minutes until something interesting happens?
Oh, absolutely. I love talking about pumping. It's my favorite part of the game.
And we're off. So pumping is the only interesting thing they can do to save time from now until sometime in Eastern, I guess. There'll be
Pumping
some stuff
and-
with the boomerang, I guess.
Yeah, pumping and reading RNG are the big things in the first two splits. And then later on you start seeing a lot of boots movement. Boots movement is it's pretty sophisticated, really hard to notice when they're doing it wrong, but it definitely saves a ton of time when they're doing it right. So pumping is just optimizing Link's movement pattern over here. When they're going in certain directions, they alternate between a diagonal and a cardinal to get Link to be moving 2 pixels per frame as often as possible. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm inserting a little bit of my assumption here, but what's happening is they move 1.5 pixels per frame when moving cardinally, and if they throw in a diagonal in there, they implicitly truncate away their subpixels. And if you're moving up or to the left to 0, 0, when you truncate, you go closer to 0. So moving north or moving west, you move a little bit faster. You half pixel every time you manage one of those diagonals.
Yeah, you can kind of see it where Chex is already a whole screen transition ahead of Spleebie. And that might not look like much, but how many screens are there in this game?
Oh boy. Good question. Don't know.
The only thing I know is that sometime around the 400th, 20th screen, you're in Mire.
Okay. I imagine you know that for meme reasons.
I imagine I know that from Fox reasons.
Which is meme reasons.
But thankfully you're not spending all 420 of those screens walking, only some parts of them. But part of Boots movement is knowing when not to use them. And when you're not using them, you're probably pumping. So you can't escape it. Pumping lasts the whole game.
Yep, so we collect the blue boomerang here. I was wondering exactly how much time the boomerang saves in the speed run. You have to make up for the fanfare to collect it and menuing it to it every time you use it. Chex was practicing just before the match the one room where it probably saves the most time, the Circle of Pots in Agate Tower. But I might be wrong about that.
Missing boomerang is relevant in 100% where you have to skip it deliberately, but NMG, it's definitely worth it. You know, world record gets it. Even just not having it in your menu is like worse than having it in your menu. It makes the menus really awkward.
So they do boomerang the big key. That gets it slightly faster. Matter of handful of frames.
And I say this at every time I do NMG commentary, is we talk a lot about the nitty-gritty, pumpy-dumpy, and the escape. Good chance none of this is going to matter, because this is not like when you speedrun by yourself and if you die to a boss, you just start over. You can't do that in a race. So either of these runners could face disaster. That makes none of this matter. If you die to a boss, the only thing you can really hope for is that your opponent does the same. But you also, the spirit of racing speedrun is you don't really hope for anyone to have a bad run. Sometimes when you have a bad run, you just hope that your opponent does well so that somebody has a good run.
Well, you can hope all you want, but what you're saying is this race is likely to be decided by a gross error.
That is the nature of hour and 20-something minute speedrun. There's a lot of room for that to happen. The game is hard at every step. It's never punishingly difficult, but it's hard enough that you do have to stay on your toes the whole time.
Spleebie is down 1.5 hearts. That starts to matter soon enough. I guess we're getting the sank heart anyway, likely on both sides.
I like Chex's triple snake boom there, so imagine not having the boomerang there. How much awkward that room would have been for him. We like the boomerang. It's a good item.
Yeah, so I noticed, at least, perhaps there have been others, but I noticed the first chest turn on Spleebie's side between these two runners. We're likely to see a lot of chest turns.
Spleebie loves them. So if you like to play counting games, take a tally of the chest turns between the two players. I bet on Spleebie having more than Chex. But I also bet on Spleebie losing more time to failing them than Chex.
Don't make it a drinking game. You'll end up dead.
Okay, has Spleebie reached the threshold where the beeps actually save him time?
I don't know about the beep saving time.
Well, he's not running on the SNES Classic, so when he's in this text box screen, the text lag is a little bit lower for him if he's beeping.
I did not know that.
Feel free to correct me if I'm spreading misinformation.
Alright, so Spleebie almost has to collect the sank heart here. I don't know, yeah. So most players are going to collect the sank heart.
Yeah, even the top runners. Even the top runners will usually do it in a race. It doesn't save that much time to skip it. It's like 6 seconds at most. And you will probably get that 6 seconds back just by being able to play a little bit more aggressively in suboptimal conditions. All in all, they're pretty close to each other coming out of the escape. I think, all the little hiccups here and there, they even out. There's a little bit of bookkeeping where maybe you have more than you normally would have, but ultimately, things tend to average out if you're playing at your level.
First likely place for significant divergence will be at Lanmo, the desert boss.
So there's a little bit of a repeat route in this run. Most of it's going to come after Tower of Hera, but you do need a few pieces of loose change to get to enough to pay the monkey in front of Pod. So you might see people boomeranging rupees, you might see people pausing a little bit to collect. Chex has 5, which is good. I don't know the exact number of how much you want to have, but I think it's 6. It's either 6 or 4.
Yeah, so, we could work backwards, but wouldn't be that interesting. Chex, that might have been a mistake to grab that particular pot. Interesting. So, to my understanding, if that small magic pot drops there, it is worth the time to boom it.
I am told that it's only worth the time if you are very clean on your boomerang movement. Because the time it takes to animate the boomerang throwing offsets most of the refill frames you get at the end of the boss fight. And I think the number I've been told is 17 frames is the most you can save with clean movement. So if you are losing 17 frames or more by pausing to boomerang, then you are not saving time.
And 17 frames is a little more than a quarter of a second.
Damage boosts went a little bit better for Spleebie here. You want to get hit by the anti-fairies here in a way that knocks you towards the chest instead of away from it. And it's extremely sensitive to the angle that you hit it at and the angle that you do your damage boost from.
Yeah, so I did the math in my head. The answer is 4 rupees that you need, other than the guaranteed ones on the route.
Ah, great. I knew it was 5 plus or minus 1, but I couldn't remember which.
Yeah, but Chex has enough that he'll be able to skip a couple drops in some place and save a little time.
So everything beyond that 4 is a chance to save time later when you collect your rupees from the trees. There's going to be a thing called tree rupees later on where they try and kill a certain number of enemies without getting hit, and then they pull on a tree and rupees come out. And if you can skip one of those rupees, you save a little bit of movement frames. Enough to make it worth picking up red rupees that are on your path. And looks like Spleebie will be getting one as well. Very good.
Yeah, and an arrow drop for Spleebie, but not Chex. That's going to be relevant later.
They have chances to get arrow drops from the common enemies that drop all the different items. But you have to get the arrow to drop. It's all luck. You have to get the arrow to drop in a place where you're not already walking through a door or it's not out of your way. These things are all opportunistic. They're not necessarily mandatory. Spleebie looks like he got a gold at Eastern. Almost a second gold. Very good.
Yeah, so if you were, let's say, a rando player and don't know the route perfectly, one of the things you'll probably want to do is grab the rupees in the back of Sahasrala's hut rather than the tree poles. Much simpler, only loses 12-ish seconds.
And I'm told, you can tell if a runner's about to do that if they are talking to Sahasrala's ear or if they're facing him head on. First glitch of the game, spin speed. If you release your sword spin and immediately press A, you will get this stored boot speed state when you come off of the stairs. There's going to be a few times in the run where they'll be doing this, mostly on Death Mountain, one time entering Kakariko. Maybe twice.
A couple times coming up right here.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Spleebie's having a great run so far. I think he has a very good Dark World, so he has to be ahead in the Light World if he wants to PB. Or he has to game out of his mind in the Dark World.
That's interesting. So you could have gone for spin speed on the previous overworld screen, but neither chose to.
Yeah, that spin speed's tough. Not necessarily because it's hard to get spin speed, but because it's hard to enter this door while moving at 4 pixels per frame. It's really common to see people.
I don't know how anybody does that.
It's really common to see people just slide back and forth on the door, looking like an idiot, and you're not saving any time, and you're just looking like a fool.
That's how I do it.
Alright, yeah, I like seeing people menu buffer here. Checks menu buffers and still gets the splashy dashy. You move quite a bit slower dashing through that water, which is something that happens if you're not aligned with the grid going down that aisle.
looks like both of them have exactly 85 completed runs apiece.
Well, that's really cool. That's a nice observation. I would have noticed that.
Well, I noticed it because I saw it on one side and had to double check that I wasn't looking at the same side twice.
Yeah,
So-
I can tell you though that of the two, Spleebie is going to have the most runs this year. This Chex, I think, hasn't really been working on NMG since the last league. He has a lot of... He likes to do a lot of different things. He loves the glitch categories and has run almost every one of them. Spleebie has not run nearly as many categories. He plays a lot of rando, and he does NMG at least once a week. But that doesn't mean that Chex is going to forget how to do NMG, because it is the bread and butter of the Link to the Past, and pretty much everything you do in NMG is also done in the other modes. I saw a chest turn, by the way. I didn't notice which runner did it.
Oh, it was Spleebie.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
So Spleebie types 4 in chat. I wonder if he's telling us his chest turn count so far.
But
Perhaps includes Desert Big Chest.
I wonder if he's listening to us. Yeah, I think he is.
So spin speed, here's an opportunity for a big time loss. If you take spin speed and jump off the ledge,
Yeah,
go back through the entirety of desert.
It's bold to do this in a race. Spleebie missed the spin speed, so he lost a tiny bit of time, but he didn't lose the time you lose jumping off the ledge.
Chex is also listening to us. I can see it.
Is he giggling?
He's giggling. It's very easy to make him to giggle.
Do you think we could pressure Chex into trying more chest turns?
Not my kind of thing. We can pressure him into things, just not chest turns. Not my preference. Right, so Lamo.
Lamo, one of the hardest boss fights to optimize. It might seem easy because it's light world boss number 2, but when you only have the arrows and the sword, you have to aim well and you have to respond to RNG. Spleebie looks like he just has a little cleanup to do here, but is ultimately having... Oh, I didn't realize he had very little on that one.
I think that was...
It's like, was that 4 or 5?
So I think I saw 5, an early 5 on Spleebie's side, and I was tracking his side rather than Chex.
Chex had like one more than Spleebie, I think. So, according to their split, Spleebie is actually quite a bit ahead. I think he often saves time in desert. Maybe have had a not so great Landmo in his PB.
Oh wow, so yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good Landmo in his PB.
He almost had a good Landmo in this, but I think he just got short hops from that last one a little bit too often for him to be able to keep up. Maybe he focused down the first 2 very quickly and it made it look like he was almost done, but he actually didn't have any hits on the last one. Fake flippers, second glitch in the game. I can't believe that crab did that to Chex. I need to call DoomTap and complain. Spleebie is in trouble.
Okay, so did he get hit during
He got
fake
hit.
flippers?
He got hit while going into the whirlpool, and then he went into the whirlpool and died after. Or rather, got kicked out of the water after. So, I guess we should explain what happens in vanilla speedrun. It's not allowed to save and quit. But in the race, we want the race to continue, so we let them save and quit in the race if this happens to allow it to continue. But,
So-
you know, he still loses time to checks, so it's we consider it like a sufficient time loss. But he will not be able to submit this as a PB if he does PB.
Yeah, so why he had to wait, the camera was, we didn't see it happening, but there was a camera scroll happening from where the warp came out to the screen on which he entered fake flippers. So that was a slow camera scroll that we didn't see, that he had to wait for to be able to save and quit.
Yeah, very important that if that happens to you and you want to continue, just hold select and it will appear on the first frame that you have control of Link. If you do anything else, especially if you move, you risk hard locking. Spleebie is having quite the death mountain. Oh no, he died.
He got unlucky with many of those boulders.
Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of control over the damage you take on Death Mountain. I mean, you can spend a ton of time dodging, but ultimately, when you're a speedrunner, you're probably just going to keep trying to move forward. And yeah, look at this. Second time, he just gets better luck. That's all it takes sometimes.
X, meanwhile, he got bullied. We sort of got sidetracked by Spleebie's fake flipper death there, or hit, rather. Chex took a lot of damage coming into Hera, and it's going to be an issue. He'll definitely take another heart of damage, bomb jumping to the Hera big chest. So it leaves him heart and a half to work with the rest of the way.
He could get the heart at Petting Zoo. I don't think he will, but he could. Spleebie, not faring much better, gets bullied by that mold orm that is somehow always in your way going up there.
Spleebie showing off one of the more fun ways to do this room, getting spin speed, then walking onto the stairs with a pot gives you super speed with the pot. Ooh, that was almost a problem there with that Moldorm on Chex's side. He gets another red 20 from that Moldorm, though.
He is flush.
Yeah, he's a lot of opportunity to skip rupees here. In fact,
Oh, no.
I don't even know.
Here, your chase.
So with this many rupees, I don't even know which rupees you're supposed to skip.
Yeah, usually it's like just the far one of the red rupee. You probably just skip the blue rupees. Oh, what, Jax? No. You almost walked into the pit.
Okay, this. Okay. An adventure there on Moldorm.
Nice fight
Ooh,
from
that-
Chexhuman. I'm using his words here. He didn't fall and he didn't die. I am going to say that was a nice fight from Chexhuman. He survived Moldorm. And Spleebie is about to enter Moldorm as well. Probably a chance for him to catch up a little bit.
Spleebie was placed that bomb for the bomb jump very far north. That might have on the edge of being too far.
It's a nice the dead rock dodge for Chex. Alright, let's see Spleebie's Moldorm. It's looking a little bit more smooth until he gets bopped right off the edge. And now he's in danger. If he gets hit again, he will die. So he has to be very careful here. Alright, nice recovery for Spleebie. It's second try Moldorm without a hitch.
It's an interesting sentence. Second try Moldorm without a hitch.
Yeah, that's like saying 6 for 6 spooky action.
Okay, unfortunate hit with a dead rock there. That means he won't have beams, which matters a bit. I don't know if there's an opportunity to get him back before you would otherwise use them.
You can farm the guard in the front of the castle and hope for a drop. And it might be worth it.
Spleebie has 20 rupees. He skips one, misses the bird.
I hope he notices that he missed the bird, because he didn't go for pickle shot.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for him taking some extra shots at, I think normally you would beam an enemy, but he can't do that. So he's going to have to go out of his way to kill something on the way out of Master Sword.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I thought he just missed his best chance there.
Okay, Spleebie noticed. He's telling us, and he's also listening to us. So yeah, we can help him, but he doesn't need the help.
Just because I don't know which enemy you're supposed to kill as a backup doesn't mean he doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. My first thought was the pickle, but he seems to have a plan.
All right, so meanwhile, Chex is about to show us why beams matter here. Mainly in this room.
Yeah, it's interesting how just knocking back that enemy matters so much. But also in the second room that he killed enemies in, killing them with a dash is really important, because if you kill them normally, you can get a drop from them. Oh no, Spleebie. Not like bees. He has like a clip where this happens, and he gets hit by the bee and loses his rupees. So he is getting out of here. He's just going to pull tree rupees in Hyrule Castle Courtyard instead.
All right, meanwhile, we miss. I didn't see whether Chex did a chest turn, because that is the one chest in the game where doing a chest turn actually matters, because you turn your light cone to the side and you can see the enemy RNG.
Alright, here's Spleebie's backup tree pull. It's really interesting to see this backup. Normally this happens because he got hit, but for Spleebie it's because he bonked the tree and got bees and didn't want to get hit. He is not going for a drop gamble. Now let's see how he handles the second kill room in Agate Tower, where he has to kill them without getting a drop. Because if he gets the drop here, he won't get a fairy and turtle rock, and that would be quite dangerous for him later on.
Yeah, so Chex is was out of arrows before getting that pot there. It's sort of unusual to see, so he's low on arrows, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's all because he didn't get a drop in Eastern. Spleebie gets lucky not getting any drops in Fairy Skip Room.
Well, he dash killed them, so...
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't see the dash kill.
Yeah, so he preserved that fairy drop that he wants to get later in Turtle Rock. No, you're supposed to turn to the right, Spleebie. You can see the enemies. You did a chest turn, but you did it wrong.
Turning right is harder. Yeah, today I actually didn't know that chest turn did anything.
Yep, they were talking about it in the other race. Good point.
Oh no! He gets forward.
So meanwhile, we're on AGA 1, one of the possible equalizers here. The number of blue balls. Each blue ball costs about 6 seconds.
And Chex famously got 11 in the NMG tournament once. That cost him the race. I don't wish the same
so far.
I don't wish the same luck to anybody in this. But it would be kind of fun to see somebody get more than 11, just so we can say that one time somebody got 12.
Alright, so Chex had 0 blue balls there right up until he got 3 in a row. So 3 for Chex. We'll see if AGA 1 is a little kinder to Spleebie, help him catch up a bit. So we didn't talk about it during Chex's fight, but your goal is to hit Agadim towards the center for most of his shots and then the top for when you know he's going to do lightning. Because on average, he'll travel less to his next spot to shoot at you.
Ooh, not a good hit for Chex.
Yeah, you want beams later in pod and you take a bunch of damage, so I personally don't know the recover offhand for this. I think we've got 3 blue balls so far on Spleebie's side. At least 2, though. Not sure about the third. Nope, it was 3. Alright, so same number of blue balls. It'll be interesting to see what, if anything, Chex does about hearts here.
He could have gotten the pot that was next to the door there.
Yep.
But that would be rather slow.
Yeah, a bit out of the way. But there's nothing that's really in the way. He won't get beams. Won't get beams where he wants them if he doesn't go out of his way, I think.
Yeah, there's a pot in here, but that's even worse. You can hover the hammer up. I don't think you do that in NMG, because you have to deal with the falling bridge. It's also really hard. I don't think most people do it at all.
I can't think I've ever seen someone do it. And if you fail, I think you get teleported back to where you were, and where you were... No, you get teleported back to the door. So you just
yeah, it's like missing hammer jump, except and the hover is really slow. It's not worth beams. You don't do it. That's not why you would do the hover. I think Chex is just not going to have beams. I suppose he could menu to boomerang and try and get heals. Double hearts. But it's also... Oh, okay. Well, there's a heart. Oh. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Chex is fine.
Only costs a couple seconds to throw that bomb the wrong way.
So he's good on hearts now. I didn't consider that he has a 50-50 chance at getting one from the mini helmet on the bridge. But Spleebie might not have to farm any at all, except for the one that you take from hammer jumping.
So Chex will just grab 3 pots here instead of 1.
So Chex on 4 arrows, which is, he's going to use all of them in this room. And he'll need 1 more. What's he doing? Oh, interesting.
So killed the green mimic with some dash buffers and then spinning it. Saves 1 arrow. I don't know how tight the count is, but when you're down this low, I guess every arrow counts. So there are a couple opportunities to make up some arrows without grabbing pots. The one I know offhand is the Zizak, red Zizak in Thieves Town.
You can also get drops in Skullwoods. The big key chest, there's 2 Baris that you kill, and they can drop an arrow.
Yeah, so that's the variety pack. Spleebie got his arrows from the Igor before Armos. So that's his advantage on arrows, so that's out of the arrow pack. So he's has the same opportunities that Chex does.
Yeah, you can see Spleebie only having to get 1 heart pot there. Saves quite a bit of time. It's still worth getting all 3 if it gives you beams, because it saves you a menu. Ooh! Okay. Oh no, Spleebie. Well, now he doesn't save a menu, because he got hit by the mimic.
I don't know about a menu, but he definitely lost some arrows there. Oh, right, because you gotta hit the switch here. So there's the menu that he doesn't save.
Yeah, it's 2 menus too. It's menu 2 and from the boomerang.
Alright, welcome from ZeldaSpeedRuns. You're seeing the same thing you were just seeing, I believe. This is another NMG League race. And the main difference here is that unfortunately Spleebie got hit into the whirlpool doing fake flippers. So he was forced to wait for the camera to scroll invisibly and then had to save and quit.
Yeah, he also had Moldorm Fall and some Tree Rupee troubles, but Chex had a few troubles of his own, so it's not completely one-sided. And Spleebie takes down Moldorm very nicely. I just said Moldorm. Helmasaur. It was a good 3rd Moldorm fight. Well, the 3rd Moldorm fight will be coming up later.
So both low on arrows. I believe 5 is not a good arrow count for Chex here, and 1 is definitely not good. Sadly, tree warping is banned in this mode. Alright, now we'll see the spin speed that kind of matters here.
Yeah, that one matters a lot because that red guard is faster than you, and the only way you can outrun it is by being faster than it. You had to move in a certain way to make sure you don't get hit and get aggroed in the wrong direction.
So Chex took 2 hearts of damage. I didn't see where that happened.
So he got lotteried by the first Ropa coming out of pod.
Ah.
Sorry, I said no logic. NMG Tournament Classic is getting lotteried by those Ropas outside of pod.
Alright, so health not too much of an issue in this split, the Thieves Town split.
Yeah, I don't believe there's anywhere in Thieves Town where you need beams. I think you just need to not die. And Thieves Town has a lot of hard-hitting enemies, but by the time you're entering, you have plenty of health. It's not too bad. And most things will die in one hit to your sword.
Chex might have forgot he wasn't playing randomizer.
I think Chex is going for the hook push that you do in all bosses no EG. Because you dash up that lane for the hook push.
But nothing of too much interest happening in Thieves here. We'll see if we get a God Pixel, but that's and in question of whether we get an arrow drop, but those are the only 2 real things of interest here.
Well, you had the chance at a God Pixel, but yeah, it is a frame perfect dash cancel, so you missed it. But he had a good hellway despite that. It's almost more impressive to have a good hellway when you miss God Pixel than to have a God Pixel. But all in all, it looks like Chex is having a pretty good use down. No, Spleebie dashing up the correct lane.
Alright, so first interesting thing here in Thieves will be, does that Zizek drop an arrow? He does for Chex. So I'm not sure what the desired or required arrow counts are here. As a pot, I think you would usually get at less than 15-ish arrows here. But we'll see.
I think Spleebie got cheated in Hellway. Hate to see it.
Yeah,
sometimes you get God Pixel and the enemies just get in your way and not your fault.
Yeah, sometimes God Pixel is not possible. So, on script blind, straightforward, these down for Chex.
Coming up, is Spleebie on the arrow? Do we know this?
Oh no, I do not know where the prize pack is. Yeah, I guess there are a lot of ways he could be not on the arrow, but he doesn't get it either way.
I'm not sure how death counts into it, but he actually saved and quit after Desert, so... If there were any
yeah,
variety pack cyclings, which I think there aren't. I think you do your... No, you do them in Eastern. There's 2 Stalfos.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the arrow might be kind of actually deep, where he's not gonna. I don't know where he'd get it.
It would be in... We'd get it in Skullwoods.
I think it might actually be after that.
Do you think he's too deep?
Yeah. But we'll see.
There are places where you can get arrows just by farming as well. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, so there are a couple optional arrow pots in Swamp and Turtle Rock that I can think of off the top of my head. Alright, so unfortunate lack of arrows, but otherwise straightforward Thieves Town for Spleebie. So starts to get a little more interesting here. So Skullwoods can go wrong many different ways.
All right, I love to see a fence dash from Chex.
All right, the 0- C-shaped house.
A respectable number. Anything between 0 and 2 is respectable. Next, handling that pretty well. Gets a downward mummy, which is something you have to deal with. And he deals with it with a slash.
This was being discussed a long time ago, but those particular pair of rooms are a little weird, where that room with the big key in it, those enemies move when you're in the room below, and that's sort of unusual.
It is unusual, because usually the enemies don't really move until you load them in.
Yep, but for whatever reason, that room loads while you're in the room to the south.
Two for 2 fence dashes. Looks like Spleebie is a 2- fan, which is also respectable. I think 2- is technically the fastest if you're optimal.
So Mothula, okay, so that's nice. Spleebie gets that arrow drop there from the berries.
There we go. I think that was his last chance to get enemy arrows. Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
10 out of
very
10.
nice.
No spikes. Excellent fight from Chex.
Yeah, so the meme for Mothula is every spike missing when you kill Mothula is minus a letter grade from A, so that was an A Mothula fight from Chex.
I think I would make an exception for the F grade and reserve that one for a Mothula death, because F. Next, Golden Skull Woods. Very good. Half a second time save over his best time in Skull. Probably owing a lot to that very nice Mothula fight he had.
I'm not sure exactly how I should be reading Spleebie's splits here. But it looks like he's about 2 minutes behind, just under, coming out of Thieves.
Yeah, his plus minus is his pace. And the last split is showing how much faster than Gold his split is. Spleebie is having a very dangerous Mothula fight. But he gets it. Clutches it out. Now, Spleebie in chat says F Mothula, but if you use the letter grade system, that is true, but I still think that F should only be for deaths.
Yeah, so just about exactly 2 minutes difference here.
So Chex's Moth or his Skullwoods managed to get him back to under a minute behind PB, which is nice to see. I think like a minute within your PB is a good goal to have for a no reset or a race. Because not everyone's going to play at their best at every run. But playing within a minute of your best is a very reasonable aspiration to have.
Okay, so Chex. You want to head to ice with full health. Chex just gets nipped by the fireball there.
Yeah, this is another one of those places you want beams in. And if you don't have beams, you're probably going to be using an extra fire rod shot and have to spend a little extra time picking up a pot going to cold stare. Looks like he gets... Yeah, he had to use it there, but he almost got away with not using the fire rod.
It's interesting. Spleebie lost half a heart there on the way to Catfish, but got one out of the bush.
Nice. Nice little game knowledge knowing that that bush is a backup. There's also a backup of you can kill crabs on the way to ice from Zora.
Yeah, I didn't know that bush had a heart. I've been seeing people use the bush, and I always thought the skull was faster, but maybe that's part of the reason people do the bush.
Yeah. The bush is for when you want a heart. It's not guaranteed. It's like a 50-50 or something.
Yeah, I think all the drops like that under bushes or skulls are all 50-50. You know, you guys can't see it, but we can see Spleebie's full stream, and he has his PB video playing, and it is a very close race between Chex and Spleebie's PB.
That's true. We should just zoom in on that. It's very exciting. Spleebie's PB is one room ahead of Chex right now. Spleebie getting revenge on the Zoras here by swimming directly past them without getting hit. Gets to enter Ice Palace with full health.
So, didn't mention it at the time, but Chex did the Lonely Firebar room with the older hammer strat. There's a new strat, which I'm not sure I've seen Spleebie do. But you can use a sword spin to clip into those stairs.
I think we can expect to see Spleebie go for it. I've definitely seen him do it this week. And Chex having a textbook cold stair fight. Going for the poke dash strats.
So Spleebie gets run over by a berry. That's a little unfortunate, but I think there's a heart here. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. And you can have beams for this room. Going for the... Oh, nicely done. Except that he has to hit the switch. That was almost a really good conveyor, though. Electric Avenue, as Twin Mode calls it.
So he doesn't have to get the IPBGA there. He can hover.
Yeah, which is good because he was only on one bomb.
Yep, he used his last bomb to do that.
Chex continuing to save time over his personal best in Ice Palace. Down to 50 off of PB. And here's Spleebie going for it. The stair clip gets the worst thing where you get stuck. There's a few different ways to fail that, and some failures are worse than others. But he gets out without taking extra damage, and that's pretty good. Spleebie spoiling in chat. Okay. That's fine. It's a fast fight. We won't talk about getting hit here.
So Chex sort of cruising. There's no opportunity to lose a ton of time here in ice, but you can get chiseled. You can get nickeled and dimed on your health. That is here in Swamp. Real risks don't come until we finish here and get to Mire.
Yeah, Swamp and Mire are pretty markedly different, because Swamp is a dungeon where you're supposed to come in relatively early. Things don't hit very hard, but they compensate for that by putting a ton of enemies in your way that have a lot of RNG. But Mire is relatively consistent. Generally speaking, if you play well, you're going to be fine. But if something goes wrong, you're probably taking 4 hearts of damage at a time. And it's really easy to die out of nowhere in Mire. Whereas in Swamp, if you're going to die, you kind of know ahead of time. Spleebie's PB continues to be just one room off of Chex's run. It's pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, Spleebie is, after all his misadventures, still staying kind of close to the margin he was near his PB.
Yeah, he
hasn't really lost a ton of time since those problems leading up to Hera.
He's having a pretty good Dark World, is what this comes down to. And keeping up with his Dark World and his PB is quite difficult, because the Light World is where he's supposed to be saving time. I would like to point out, though, Chex has not taken any damage yet in Swamp, which is incredible. I would even argue that it's illegal.
Early menu there, I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's a sort of fine point there on how you menu to the hookshot after you get it to get to that pot and key. So arrows in a pot here if he wants them, he does.
There we go. I think maybe Spleebie will go for those as well. He's been on a bit of an arrow deficit. He needs quite a few going into Vitreous.
Yeah, so I was watching him practice the other night, I think last night even, and I saw something interesting going on both in his run and his PB where he does something I hadn't noticed anyone do, but now that I've talked to him about it, I noticed other people doing it, but he'll shoot his arrows into the big eye and then slash down after or before menuing to the mirror, just in case he miscounted his arrows going into the vitreous eyeball. And if he did, you finish it with a spin.
Chex just gave us you can't see this, but Chex just gave us a nice grin in response to taking 0 damage in Swamp Palace up to Argus, which is very rare because the last 2 enemies in the dungeon almost always get in your way, and it's really, really uncommon to be able to dodge both.
Yeah, so my point on bringing up that vitreous arrow thing is Spleebie, I don't know how the arrow count works out, but he may actually be forced into doing something sort of desperate to save arrows.
I think Spleebie's fine. He might end up with 0 arrows if he uses the maximum number of arrows you can expect to use in a normal Vidi fight. In a normal Vidi fight, if you don't get lucky, you'll probably have to shoot 3 arrows into small eyes, and then he'll have 8 for the big eye, and he'll be okay. But ending the fight with 0 is not optimal for the later parts of the run. We might see him go for slashes instead of arrows for the small eye cleanup. Texas saved another 10 seconds on his PB.
Yeah, he is cruising. After, boy, what got him at the beginning? Something got him.
I think he had a bad landmo.
Yeah, that's the main
and
thing.
He had kind of a scary Moldorm fight. He didn't die or fall, but he spent a lot of time juking Moldorm.
Yeah, and then 3 blue balls. So those are probably the main time losses against his PB. I think this is otherwise a better run than his PB. Ooh, so Spleebie gets a little trapped there, misses the 0 cycle in a sort of costly way on Argus.
Yeah, he doesn't get up to 2 cycles, which is good. But it is slower than going for the 1 cycle. Hey, it's good to point out, actually, Fox has a good point, is that Chex's PB is rather old, and he has been playing a lot since then. Spleebie's PB is a little bit fresher, so it would be a little bit harder for him to play at his own level than Chex would. So, Misery Mire didn't really talk about shopping much. Both runners are doing their shopping, at least their ether shopping, after Swamp, which is a little bit risky because if you take heart damage on Death Mountain, you won't have beams in the front of Mire. But some people prefer it because you have a hookshot coming out of Swamp, and hookshot makes the mountain easier if you prefer to use the hookshot to get your spin speed. So he'll be doing that here, makes you a little bit less likely to get hit.
So, a bit less trouble this time around on Death Mountain for Spleebie. I think we missed a quick warp there, and he's not happy about it.
Ooh, Chex takes a hit, which is fine because a lot of people take a hit here on purpose anyway for the Spark Gamble. You want to go into victories with at least 6 hearts. Technically, you can do it with 5. And you have plenty of margin in NMG to be doing that.
So there are a couple things going on with Spark Gamble that... So, you're hoping to get a pair of frame rolls on the Spark. You're hoping to frame roll kind of deep into it, and then your menu to give you another one so that you get by without taking damage. And if that doesn't happen, what you want is to get bopped the correct way to save time at the cost of a heart.
And I guess we should explain what spooky action is. You can manipulate some variables to make your fire rod splash damage go off screen. And there's a switch in the room above that will get hit by your splash damage if you hit an enemy in the right space.
Yeah, so we manipulated the altitude value of the fire rod splash damage very deliberately by having the bird go off the screen at just the right time, such that... Let's watch this vitreous fight.
Yeah, that's a very good fight. You can see how quickly things can go wrong if you take eyeball damage, because Chex is actually in one-hit KO at the end of this fight from the big eye.
Yep, did not do the safety slash down.
No, he had the confidence of being able to spam arrows and count correctly. I don't think it's possible to have an extra arrow come out, is it?
Honestly, with those things, I mean, you're supposed to have a rhythm on Armos, right? I just spam.
Yeah, I spam too. I get yelled at for spamming. Fox says it is possible to fire an extra arrow at Viddy. I'm sure I've done it.
So
Spleebie went for Spark Gamble and did not get the desired outcome.
So this altitude variable was set by having the flute bird, go off the screen at just the right time. And that offsets the fire rod splash damage just high enough by just the right amount, such that there are 3 different opportunities for that splash damage to hit 3 different crystal switches here in Mire.
So, going by Chex's splits, he looks like he changed his shopping to match Spleebie's, and I don't know if he changed his shopping for good because he wants to do it this way now, or if he's trying to make the race a little bit more easy to follow. But normally he would have gotten his Ice Rod by now, and now he's doing it in Turtle Rock.
Okay, so
it's
you're saying
like
he didn't really gold by 34 seconds in Mire?
He gamed, but I don't think he gamed that hard. 30 seconds is like, he transformed into Eddie for 2 minutes. I think even then, that wouldn't be possible. But the important thing is he did not forget his Ice Rod. He has it. He's going to Turtle Rock, the last dungeon before Ganon's Tower.
Alright, so Viddy fight here for Spleebie. Ooh, this is not good. Okay, so all it's gonna cost him is the 0 cycle.
Yeah, he lost a little time. He did the slash down for safety. It looks like at some point he picked up arrows as well, so he's not on 0 coming out of the fight, which is really good because he had to use an extra arrow and would have had not enough for Viddy if he'd come in with 11. Oh no.
Alright, so Chex did not deliberately change his routing, he's saying.
Oh, well, he can say he did it for us.
So how long does the Ice Rod take to get?
I'm gonna guess a little bit more than 30 seconds.
Wow.
Maybe, probably like 40. I'm sure somebody in chat actually knows the answer.
35 is about right for the math with his splits. $37 to $38. Okay. Did Chex mean to dump those bombs? You need a bomb.
Yeah, he does need a bomb. He can get one in the maze at the very end. So Turtle Rock is all about HP management. You take quite a bit of damage just in this room on purpose, but you also want to have beams coming into the latter half of the dungeon. And you rely on this fairy drop that appears on one of the 4 pokies that you kill. Now, he gets his here, he has to chase after it a little bit. He also has to not take damage here. And wow, he gets atrocious RNG from this. Oh no. So what happened there was he tried to squeeze past and didn't quite have enough room, but it was really hard to tell that he didn't have enough room, so he took a hit and lost his beams, and that threw off his rhythm.
Very nice drive-through by Spleebie, followed by jumping straight into the pit over the bridge.
Drive through, drive off a cliff. So Chex now has 5 hearts for the remainder of the dungeon. He doesn't have a good way to get them back. You want to enter Trinex with at least 4, just so you don't die to one hit. You can pick up a heart coming out of...
Ooh, okay.
That was really close.
Yeah, so those skulls do 4 hearts of damage. So that's...
Yeah, I would have
picked
been
up a
rough.
heart somewhere, but...
I think he always had 5, but he paused before entering the door, because if you get unbunnied while you're in the door, it will delay you just long enough to get lasered in the face. And he knew that. Wanted to make sure that he doesn't go down to 1 heart.
So he will take a heart of damage in the dark maze sort of platform room.
Right.
Unless he deliberately spends a couple menus to avoid it.
Ooh, hey, look at that. He gets a heart from the pokey.
Manages to dodge the bomb. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I've got this wrong with the bombs, but I thought he needed a bomb. He's acting like he doesn't.
I don't think he wants 8. I think you can get one in the last room, and dumping 8 bombs in GT is kind of annoying. Not really worth it. I think he has a plan for bombs and he'll be okay.
So, Chex got the squeeze that I learned about from Spleebie in the crystal roller room there. You look at where the roller is during the fanfare of getting the small key in the chest, and you use that to judge whether you can walk right by the roller or whether you need to bonk over it.
Ooh. So Spleebie going for the Brahmin block blast strat here, misses it and dies to the chomps. That is very unfortunate. He also didn't get his fairy, so when he comes back in, he has a chance to get the fairy.
Well, chomps isn't the worst place to die in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, you want to die after you get the key though, and he didn't, so he has to do chomps again. I wonder if he'll go for the pokey kill just to get a fairy. Probably not. Yeah, he's not going to go for it. There's more chances to get a fairy later. Wow, he doesn't have the iframes to tank that hit. Wonder why. So now he's on 3 hearts. If he gets a fairy, he won't go up to beams. But he'll at least go up to safety. Okay. So that's not... Funny thing about Trinex is that his head and body actually do different heart damage to you. The body does only 1 heart and the head does 4. So he had a chance to take 1 more hit from the body and survive. But he was playing it very carefully after eating that hit. And I think, I don't think he would have been nearly that aggressive if he had been in Oko, so... He knew this could have happened, and he was prepared for it.
Spleebie gets a moral victory with the chest turn on the Turtle Rock Big Key chest. I imagine that's a tricky chest to go for the chest turn on. Chex. Let's see, what happened to him? He had a nasty chomps. That's what happened. So losing time against his PB, but not too much.
Yeah, he's still within a minute, which is perfectly fine benchmark. We'll be coming up on Crystal Roller. No squeeze if you miss the switch, so he has to reset himself.
So last night, Spleebie told himself to do the safe strat on the laser bridge and then died immediately and was practicing that first thing before the race. So let's see what happens here. There we go, safe strat. Alright, so sort of out of opportunities for Chex to lose a lot of time unless Ganon.
Alright, Spleebie gets... I think he still gets 1 cycle out of Trinix, which is... He was cutting it close there. And also takes it down to 2 hearts. Oh no. But he gets it as well.
You know, I was already to say at least one thing went right in Turtle Rock. Is there... Ooh. Okay, so I got distracted by Spleebie's PB Ice Armos fight, which went wrong. But I was about to ask, is there a... So I see everybody do it one way. I only ever see one strat for Ice Armor, so I'm wondering if there's a faster strat that anybody does.
There are definitely 2 ways to do Ice Armors. You can do like 4 and 2, or you can do 3 and... What is it? 3 and 3 or something? There's one that gives you a lot more leeway to move up and start firing to the left. And it's a little bit slower. And then there's one where you start firing to the left and the Armos is already moving towards you, so it's a little bit harder to pull off.
Little trouble here or there in the... What's the name of that room in NMG? They all have dumb names.
I don't know. I call it the Spike Pit. I used to call it Spike Skip because I thought that's what Spike Skip was. And then it got corrected at some point. Spike Skip is the one Spleebie's about to come into after getting the key in this chest. Or not in the chest, but in the pot. Good gauntlet so far for Chex.
Hasn't got the best RNG, but it's gone rather well.
Yeah, he's handling it all very well. Yeah, that was very good.
Well, that was some kind of spike skip.
And a good 1 cycle ammo too. Love to see it. Yeah, look at Spleebie trying to dump 7 bombs. It's pretty much a futile effort when you're on 8 to get down to the 1. It does make the menu a little bit suboptimal coming out of the Bob Arrow room. Don't knock me for calling it Bob Arrows. I am a filthy rando player. Now, Chex took a little bit of heat from the laser eyes in Torches 2, but he still has plenty of health. He can take a hit from Ganon and not die, at least from the fire bats. Alright. Saga 2, very difficult to optimize and RNG dependent, but it's just the right amount of RNG to make you fail, but right amount of things being in your control to make you feel bad about it. He gets a good 3 cycle out of it, though. Respectable fight. I think that was 3. We can say it was 3. It might have actually been 4.
I've been watching Spleebie's side because he's says something in chat, and I'm trying to watch for what happened to make him say it.
Oh no. He looks fine to me.
I think maybe
Whoa! Okay. I don't know how he didn't get hit by that fire, and I think that's probably what he was reacting to. It's 3 Landmos charging directly at him, which is kind of nice. Makes the fight a little bit easier.
Alright, so Ganon Warps is the last real source of RNG here. Seen 2 so far. Six.
Getting all his warps out in 1 cycle. Oh, Chex. Alright. He gets Torch Glitch. And now he is in the safe part of the fight. He can still fall to Ganon, but most people don't fail at phase 4 once they have Torch Glitch. We can expect him to finish this one out shortly. Spleebie's still making a heroic effort to dump his bombs. I don't think he's going to have a good time of that. You can only lay 2 bombs at a time.
So there's Sword Up for Chex.
Not quite getting the minute, owing to the warps that he got again in phase 3. But still pulls out a respectable 126.24, according to his splits.
So Chex, it looks like, is going to take a short break. I will reserve comment until we get him in. We'll see if we get him in here. But it's going to take a minute, it looks like. Nope, he's right back.
He's probably letting his cat in. Oh, Spleebie's having a good Aghanim. Although this pattern was a little rough. He was going for a really fancy shot, and
but he was very aggressive, and it didn't work out.
I don't know if I would have been that aggressive on having only 1 hit left, but it would have looked really cool if he got it. Oh, you're going for a little cheeky out-of-bounds clip that you don't normally do in NMG, but it's not like he's following NMG rules anyway. He's already saved and quit once in this run. So might as well have a little fun. I think he can still 129, is that correct?
Yes. I was thinking he just barely can't 128, I think. Or no, he's well out of 128. Never mind. Are we joined? Oh, here we go. Oh, maybe ZSR works differently? Am I allowed to drag Chex in? I don't know what the rules are. I suppose it's fine. It's worth waiting here because times are so much closer than I'm used to in rando races. It's not going to be 10 minutes to the next one. Okay, so closer to 128 than I thought. So held it together rather well after some early stuff, but then some problems in Turtle Rock. And we will see. Let's see. Yeah, so Spleebie finishes with a 129.30.
And we are joined by Chexhuman. GG. Congrats on the Skull Gold. That was amazing.
Thanks, GG.
In fact, your Dark World up into Turtle Rock was very, very good. It looked like you were saving 10 seconds in every split for a while.
Yeah, I purposely have a bad mid-game PB just to impress commentators. It works out pretty well.
Oh, why are we talking about the Skull PB when we could be talking about that 35-second Meyer Gold?
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with Skull, I don't know if my gold has a menu at the end. Usually I don't do that, but if it does, it kind of loses half a second, but we'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately, you lost all of that time saved from Meyer by making the critical error of getting your Ice Rod in Turtle Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what really slowed me down in Turtle Rock. Getting Ice Rod.
We are also joined by Spleebie here. Good game.
GG.
GG checks.
Yep, so race was unfortunately dominated by some incidents on Spleebie's side. So I didn't see it happen. But you got knocked into that whirlpool.
Yeah, I've lost runs to getting hit in South Shore, but I've never been hit into the portal. That was fun.
Just for race sake, that is very time consuming. It seems.
Yeah, it would have been faster to take the hit down at the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to wait
I wouldn't have had to wait so long for the scroll.
Yep. And then something happened there with your tree rupees. It was a little hard to track, but you had in mind your backups, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, I missed the bird shot, and then I missed the bird dash after getting the Master Sword. I had to kill 2. Dashed into the bee tree again.
Oh no. Did you have to get rupees?
I didn't get hit, so I didn't have to pull the tree again, so I just went to the courtyard.
Okay.
That's funny because my last NMG League race, I lost to the same mistake. Bonking that tree and messing up the rupees. On that one, though, it was worse. I had to mirror and get Zaha rupees. But...
Yeah, so I didn't see... There was something that went pretty wrong on your side, Chex, but I'm not remembering what it was offhand. I guess you did get 6 blue balls?
No. It was 3 blue balls.
Oh, it was Spleebie that got 6, I think.
Oh, okay. No, we both got 3,
They
right?
both got 3.
Yeah, it was 3 and 3.
3 and 3.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I missed a full cycle then. Okay.
Chuck's got like a cycle of only orange balls.
Yeah, that was.
And it looks
something.
really good, and then he got all 3 at once.
Yeah, that would have been a good Agate Tower altogether. But yeah,
it was
the thing-
it was the Landmo fight.
yeah, that wasn't very good.
Kind of terrible for both of us.
No, then I was crabbed coming out of desert. That kind of shook me. I was all, shaken by that. I was pretty solid through here until Moldorm and couldn't fight the boss. All I could do was run
Right.
away from it.
We were wondering, actually, because you entered Hera with low HP, and I had actually forgotten that you got hit by a crab, even though I saw it because of what happened to Spleebie. It was a little bit more pressing.
Oh yeah.
That both of you entered Hera with low HP for different reasons. Spleebie actually took a death on the mountain.
Right. Yeah.
But interesting that both of you also had like kind of opposite disasters at Moldorm, with Spleebie having what looked like a really good Moldorm until he just got hit directly off the ledge and fell. Classic Moldorm style. And then you had somehow like a successful disaster of everything looked like it was going horribly, except you didn't get hit and you didn't fall.
Right. I guess that's what counts. Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with Hera and Palace of Darkness these days. Like all year. Basically, those are the splits where I can lose a minute. And Desert too. But I tend to catch up in the Dark World. So, all in all, nice to get a 126 in League. With only practicing today, basically. And last weekend, of course. But, yeah, GG's.
Yeah, so, Spleebie, is there anything for you to take away from this other than how bad some of those things went, like the fake flipper and then a bunch of things in Turtle Rock?
Oh, I had a gold Eastern, so that was cool.
Yep.
5 flat now.
Oh yeah, and that beats mine probably. Your desert beats mine for sure.
So I don't know how many cycles it was, but you saved a lot on Landmo's Spleebie. So are you just always way ahead in the light world?
I saved a lot compared to my PB, because PB had like 7 cycles or something.
So you have a weird PB that you're running against. It
sucks.
It's bad after desert, but then it's real strong, and you're always behind by the end of the Dark World, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, except GT and Ganon, I usually save some time, which is weird.
So Chex, it almost looks like you have a free PB if you wanted to grind on it for a bit.
It is not free, just because it's such a hard category for me, being long and having a lot of rooms. I just never practiced enough. But if I do, then I can achieve it. So we'll see.
Any concluding thoughts from Chex and Spleebie before we wrap this up?
Thanks again for commentary, Melmo and Haiku Type. Good game again, Spleebie.
Thanks, ZSR, for putting this on, and good luck in the next round, Chex.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. It was a very fun race. Let's see. So I mentioned this to our racers before, but currently the only thing on our schedule is the match on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's between Arier and Bidey. But we should get a couple more on the schedule soon for this weekend, I hope. So just keep an eye on the schedule and on the events in the NMG League Discord. You should be able to know where things are. We'll go ahead and raid our friend Twinmo, who was doing some fun stuff, I think. Definitely ALttP related. So, yeah. And thanks so much, everyone.
Have